The whole QSR industry is in a vibe recession and they know it. These new breakout brands that are out there, Dave's Hot Chicken, they're not in a vibe recession. Granted, we only have 2 locations. We're already surpassing the numbers of Five Guys, Habit Burger. We're on our way to catch up with Shake Shack. And hopefully one day we're going to pass them because we got a lot more vibe and a lot more energy in our stores than in Shake Shack.
Welcome to the Otter Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sunny Tour. I'm here today in Seattle, Washington with the founders of Secret Burger Kitchen. We have Guggen, Paul, and Mandeep. Thanks for joining us, guys. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to chat with us today. Let's talk about how it all started, right? Paul, you have a background in hotels. You saw an opportunity for SBK to be launched. So let's kick things off and hear all about it.
Thank you for having us here. We're really excited to be part of this today. Yeah. So my background, our family's been in the hospitality business. Grew up in that business, went to school for tech, but along the way got back into the hotel industry. Over the last 20 plus years, owned and operated many hotels, built some ground up, did many renovations. Over time, what we kind of saw is the hotel F&B concepts are a really dying thing. And the brands themselves, the hotel brands, have started to really scale these down into QSR concepts. And as they got more and more minimalistic, they got so minimal that even the hotel guests didn't want to dine with us, let alone the community. Growing up in this industry, we always saw full-service hotels as an opportunity where they connected with the whole community. People would come in, they would host the, Thanksgiving Day dinners, the Christmas brunches, all those things. And over the last 25 years, they erased that and turned these concepts to be so minimal and basically lost any synergies that the restaurant would bring to the hotel itself. So looking at my own hotel, Holiday Inn, I decided that, it's really tired of this hotel asset just losing money and decided to, launch a new concept. We're Punjabi. That's our background. When we make, food and stuff at home, we add more flavor and more character to what we eat. It's not just salt and pepper like the boring burger world out there. So when we decided to really, lock in on this concept and really decide to move forward, first thing we did is we spent 2 months really designing our seasoning. And that was really the basis of what we were going to do. We like to call ourselves, we're notorious for flavor. We're a flavor first brand. And so we locked in our flavor, tested with family, friends, other people, and we wanted to get it just 100% right. Once we had that right, we decided now to move to step 2. We were going to run it from inside of our hotel kitchen as our proof of concept. And we really had to build everything to be efficient and everything to scale. Running 2 full concepts out of 1 kitchen, we decided that we were to come out of the gate with this concept on a digital first ordering platform. And so we use kiosks and QR code ordering. That's how you order at our restaurants. If you do want to order from the register, we do, but 99% of our guests really have latched onto that. So we launched this in June of 2024, and the community immediately started to come into the hotel. When we originally started Secret Burger Kitchen, the whole name Secret Burger Kitchen it was a ghost kitchen, kind of a virtual brand. There was no sign outside, and we started everything with our social media focus. We have a lot of background in tech and data, and we have other businesses where we had to go in. For example, we have a cannabis business, and that's a very challenging space to be in. All your traditional marketing platforms are not allowed that a normal business would have. So we brought all that knowledge and experience we had to start activating what we call a tribe. And we got into Tacoma at our first location, and we were able to activate that tribe right away. And what we saw was people were coming in, walking in the hotel lobby, where's the Secret Burger Kitchen? To even take this a step further, we had the health department come in one day, and they said, hey, we heard you guys have a new restaurant here. It's a Secret Burger Kitchen. Where's it at? We said, it's the same restaurant, same kitchen. They were actually in disbelief. We took them back in the kitchen. They looked around and said, oh, that's funny because we saw it online on social media, and we thought you guys opened a whole new restaurant.
Right.
Anyhow, as this started to really continue to take off, and we saw the feedback from the guests that were coming in, we decided that we had something a lot bigger than just trying to solve this problem for hotels. So my initial plan was to build and scale this brand nationwide in other hotels and help hoteliers really turn these things around. So we made the pivot, and we started pivoting to brick-and-mortar locations. We secured a brick-and-mortar location in May 2025. We opened that location, and it just blew the numbers out of the water. So that's the long, short story of where we're at.
That's awesome, Paul. Let's take a step back and really talk about, when was that moment for you guys when you realized that, we can turn this product into now a business, right? As you said, Paul, right? You saw it to become something bigger. What was that moment for you? And perhaps Guggen, I'd love for you to chime in on that.
Yeah, I think I go back to March of 2025 when Paul calls me up. He says, "Come over and visit the Tacoma location.
Yeah.
I have something good going on." And was the big moment for me to understand what he has done.
Yeah.
He talked about his vision. And I knowing Paul, going back to our high school days, right? He's very passionate when it comes to doing something, whether it's cannabis, whether it's hotels,
right,
or anything he puts his mind and effort in towards, he always succeeds. I mean, I can say that, just watching him from the side. I've worked in the tech world for 25 plus years now. We're getting to a point where I want to do something for myself, right? And this was a perfect opportunity to understand his vision, for me to realize that this is something good that we can scale up. And this is where we talked about, potentially not only running operations of, 1 or 2 locations, but also think about the brand side of things, right? How do we can leverage tech to build that platform, right? Especially everybody here brings the tech mindset. So that's where it was a big moment for me to be part of this journey.
Thoughts on, the meaning behind Secret Burger Kitchen, right? How did the name of the Secret Burger Kitchen really come about? And, what does it stand for today?
Yeah, I mean, for Secret Burger Kitchen, as Paul talked about, started out of the hotel kitchen, right? There were no signs. Guests would come in and they would look, where is the burger restaurant? They saw some kiosks and, they would know that that's where everything was. But now what it's really trending towards is we're really making, crave-worthy experience for our guests.
Nice.
We have a culture around that. Everything that we make is in-house. That's our secret. We say we're notorious for flavor.
Yep.
That's why we really have brought, taste back into the burger world, because a lot of our competitors, they really vibe up the same thing of salt and pepper sameness. And that's kind of where we're making the difference and really building a big tribe, a big following around that, because what we're doing is something totally different that people don't experience and that have not experienced anywhere else. And what we're really doing with that is we built a big following around that over social media, and we really use that to kind of help our brand grow, right?
Awesome. So Paul, let's talk about smash burgers, right? Secret Burger Kitchen, now of course a household name in Seattle. What makes you guys different? And what really stands you out from the market?
First of all, we're not another boring burger place. When you walk in our restaurants are designed to be destinations. We use a lot of 90s, 2000 street art and nostalgia in our locations. The music will play a mix of 90s, 2000 hip hop, R&B, and then we keep some top 40 in it. When you walk in our location, you feel the vibe and energy. Since we are digital first ordering, our front of house staff is what we call vibe ambassadors. So from the moment you walk in to when you're sitting at your table till you leave, they will connect with you, make sure you're seen, valued, and heard. So by going 99+% on digital ordering really allowed us to create this different environment of elevated QSR experience. You won't go and Shake Shack and kind of have this whole experience. You won't go into Habit Burger and have that. They're boring and dull. We have customers of all ages. It's not that we're just focused, on that Gen Z and millennial. We have, elderly, we have families, we have everybody come in. It's a very positive, upbeat, positive environment. Outside of that, we find we are defining a new space in QSR, and we're calling it culture-driven QSR category. We're a category of few. Right now, I'd put ourselves in there and Dave's Hot Chicken. They're a lot further than us, but they get it, we get it, and we're defining a new space for the consumer in this industry. Going back to we're flavor first, we call ourselves, we like to say we're notorious for flavor. With our own house-made seasoning, with our own custom blend, we make all of our own house-made sauces. When you come in, you will see everything has an elevated taste to it. It's not just sauce out of a bottle. We have hot honey sauce we make in-house. We have a Caribbean jerk sauce we make in-house. We make our own garlic white sauce that we use. And even go further than that, we're not a one-trick pony. So we were talking about Dave's Hot Chicken. There's all this hype in the chicken space right now, and everybody's building brands over there. But what are they really are is a one-trick pony. They only got chicken. What if somebody doesn't want to eat chicken? What if somebody's bored with chicken? We have what we call a veto-proof menu. That allows us to win the group. And when I say veto-proof, we got premium chicken burgers, we got chicken wings, We have plant-based options. We have top-loaded shakes. We do secret sodas, which is our version of dirty sodas. We win the group ticket. We're able to have, a family or a group of friends. If one person doesn't want beef, we got chicken. If they don't want chicken, we have plant-based. So our restaurants and locations are really built to be destinations and really to be able to cater to everybody. I think everybody got so locked in on just trying to do one thing and do it good. We can do all these things. Like I said, we're built for speed and efficiency out of the gate, and everything was designed in a kitchen that ran 2 concepts. So we've really nailed and executed that from the beginning, and that's where we're headed with this.
Thanks, Paul. So let's pass it over to you, Mandeep. I'd love to chat a little bit about the menu, right? We all, of course, come from an Indian influence and background. What things did you consider when building out the menu? And of course, how do you still pay homage to the Indian culture and cuisine?
Yeah, I mean, what we focused on is smash burgers, right? But as Paul said, we have other items for our veto-proof menu, like chicken wings, chicken sandwiches, and plant-based items. But that's not saying that we're taking away from flavor. We're providing them a flavor, and not an overpowering flavor, but it's something palatable for everyone across the board. By that, how we drive consistency with that is really our managers are the ones that will make the seasoning. It's a recipe that we've built, with science behind it. So it's consistent, hand over hand, time over time, every time it's prepared, right?
Gagan, I'd love for you to chime in around, authenticity and scalability, right? How do you ensure that you're delivering that consistent experience for your guests time and time over again? Is there a secret sauce there? Is there a playbook that you guys have designed?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. From day one, as Paul already mentioned, right, we operate out of Holiday, and we were running 2 concepts out of 1 kitchen. From that led us to focus on speed and simplicity from day one, right? And that led us to developing, and this is where Mandeep comes in and his role comes in, developing our playbook and operation procedures to master execution, right? This is where we're keeping the ticket times and the back of the house flows, focused. That leads to, where we opened up our second location, where we can now drive that consistency, right? At this point, we're not only operating just 2 locations, but we have a playbook that can be scalable to 10 stores. Right. But we're not stopping there. We've brought in a consultant group called Prospetize, who have worked with brands like KFC, Domino's, and Pizza Hut to not only fix the model today, but also start thinking about the future, which is 500 plus units. They're embedded into our day-to-day. They're also looking at how we are operating today. They're helping fix those and refine those, so that way we can go from 10 to 100 stores to 500 stores eventually.
So guys, everyone here at this table, right, shares tech mindset and background. Let's talk about, some of the parallels, right, from previously, working in the tech industry to now owning and operating a restaurant. What are some commonalities you're seeing there? What are some of the skill sets and learnings that you've now brought over to the restaurant world? Deep, let's start with you.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing, what we really brought over is understanding documentation, right? How do we look at data? How do we implement that? And how do we put it into SOPs and really push that out to our staff? So that way everything is done in a structured way and everyone's held accountable. That's what we've really brought on from our technical background.
Awesome. Paul, I'd love to have you chime in as well. What are some of the systems, right, automations that you've now implemented at Secret Burger Kitchen that has really allowed you guys to, really grow and scale?
Sure. To really pick back up on where Mandeep started answering this question is we're used to building for 100 million users. So when we were building this brand, even though we're aiming 500,000, maybe 2,000 units, we already come with the mindset that we're building for hundreds of millions of users. So we understand that everything that we do needs to be reviewed, thought about up front, and have a plan of execution. So just as when we were evaluating Otter, we evaluated many systems, many solutions. We had certain requirements that any vendor had to meet. We had to make sure that we had open API access. We didn't want to be locked in a corner and be in a box with our vendor. And finding vendors that are actually tech companies that are providing us the tech. We don't need a credit card processor to sell us a solution because they're not a tech company. But the current business acumen has changed, right? everybody needs to become tech first, and our brand is digital first. So, making sure that, we make those right decisions for us comes already in our experience. Somebody that doesn't, another CEO or another COO that doesn't have that tech experience wouldn't be able to weigh in and evaluate these things up front with the same methodology and experience that we bring to the table.
We are in the business of providing the experience from selling burgers, but from tech standpoint, as part of evaluation, what Paul and Mandeep touched on, was critical is understanding our personas, right? From a user coming in, placing an order to back of the house, flows of things, understanding all that stuff, but also thinking of building something that's modular and scalable, right? Yes, we are 2 unit locations today, but our goal is to grow, right? And next 6 months to next 5 years, we have a clear ambition to get to, right? And that was a very critical point, since you asked, like, what our tech backgrounds bring to this table. And this is where we look at what is our requirement, Paul already touched on, and then how do we solve for? Not just from operator standpoint, but also how a customer can have a really good journey, right? And let's say if kiosk goes down, what is our plan, right? Can we have a tech stack in place that can do QR ordering? If, let's say, QR ordering goes down, can we go back to our traditional way of ordering through a POS system, right? So we had to look at through all those avenues to really determine what is the right platform we want to go after, right? And that's something that, hey, these guys both, to build that kitchen OS, you really have to have the interplay between your operational playbook and then your tech stack.
Yeah, no, I love it. With that being said, right, what were some of those problems that you guys originally were looking to solve?
I think the biggest one, and then these guys can free to chime in, I think the customer support, right? We had not all-in-one solution in place for our tech that led to, hey, is it a POS issue? Is it a credit card processor issue? Is it a kiosk issue? And we had to ramble and pick up the phone and try to get hold of them. And there was no clear directive from those companies that they can give us a defined SLA on the support.
Right.
For me, that was very critical, right? Picking the right partner for us to scale up with, right? We wanted to make sure we have the right support system in place.
So Paul, let's talk about, building a digital first restaurant, right? How many kiosks units do you have in your stores today? And how have those self-ordering kiosks really impacted your operations, speed, and guest experience?
Yeah, so our current brand standard is to have 3 kiosks per location as a minimum. When we look at kiosks, we look at them as a billboard for us. The kiosks that Otter provides are probably one of the best in class, 27-inch screen. When a customer walks up to these, we're able to have a video playing for them. When they click on into the menu, everything's very large. We have great photography there. It's a billboard that sells itself. The customer's not just looking at part of the menu up on a TV behind the screen. It's right there in front of them. They're able to customize their burgers exactly how they want, add on other items, and there's great opportunities for additional add-ons and upselling just through the kiosk platform. After COVID, this has become the way I feel customers actually enjoy and like this better. They can take their time. They don't feel rushed. There's not a line of people behind them. And with 3 kiosks, if the 3 kiosks are full and somebody seems to be in a hurry or they don't want to wait for a kiosk, we always offer them they can go help themselves have a seat, and they can use a QR code in order from the table. So we can keep the lines moving, keep the customers going, and it's been working great, especially with once again, that really 27-inch kiosk is just dynamite itself.
That's great to hear, Paul. Guggen, I'd love for you to chime in around, digital first operations specifically, right? How has that impacted staffing, right, labor costs, and overall just guest experience for Secret Burger Kitchen?
Yeah, so we've been a kiosk first model from day one. It was not a tech choice. It was not a cost cutting or labor cutting choice. It was our hospitality choice, right?
Nice.
And Paul touched on this earlier, right? It frees up our front of the house team to be a brand ambassador to hospitality, right? Which is critical to us. And that's the experience we're building within SBK.
Nice.
In terms of the experience, the customers, love the kiosk. It's big enough. As we mentioned earlier, 27-inch. We have a video playing. That's basically zero cost marketing for you, where a customer comes in and they're able to pick the right selection. The image, the menu placement has been great. The plus point is that we get a lot of data as well to make decisions on our menu engineering. We have already done that. And when we transitioned to Otter, we've already changed our menu a few times now based on the data. So which typically you don't get that out of your non-tech POS companies. They're not willing to expose that data. And we're happy to build further in future, especially with the open AI APIs. We can build it and leverage that data and probably potentially feed that in AI.
As Paul and Guggen alluded to earlier, right? From day one, you guys were a digital first restaurant concept, right? So Mandeep, I'd love for you to tell our audience essentially about the guest experience, right? How do they feel when they walk into Secret Burger Kitchen? Is there a learning curve there around self-ordering, or do you feel like they really get it?
Yeah, I mean, the kiosks are very straightforward to utilize and use for our guests. But we also have our front of house staff, which we call brand ambassadors, like how Guggen touched on, which really frees them up from being transaction takers, and they're there to really help our guests through if they have any issues, right? But that also opens up our guests, our front of house staff, to really interact with our guests, meaning we're doing table touches, we're bringing out their food, and our guests are being seen from the moment they're walking through the door to the moment when they leave. So they feel welcomed. That's how we really are driving the culture-driven QSR space, is really bringing that forward. And that's how we're really utilizing digital first ordering, is to put hospitality in the forefront of everything that we're doing.
Paul, let's talk about some common pain points that you're seeing in today's QSR space, right? What were some of those pain points for SBK? And how did you guys really go out and aspire to solve those problems?
In the QSR space, what the other brands are experiencing out there and seeing is that there's lack of authenticity. There's a lack of connection with the customer. They have more customers coming and ordering through third party or coming for takeout. The restaurants are sitting empty because the restaurants are boring. Well, we are building destinations with our locations. We're building that vibe, and we're making these fun, high energy places for the customers to be. In addition to that, the whole vibe automatically creates user-generated content. People are coming in. We have, with our burgers, we give syringes. So that gives a whole interactive experience where, you're syringing the sauce on. Even when people are doing it on their fry, they're putting it on their wing. They're putting more sauce in their burger, right? So we're giving this interactive, more fun experience, something that they're not used to seeing anywhere else. It's not a gimmick. It's actually something to be more interactive. The whole QSR industry is in a vibe recession, and they know it. These new breakout brands that are out there, Dave's Hot Chicken, they're not in a vibe recession. Granted, we only have 2 locations. We're already surpassing the numbers of Five Guys, Habit Burger. We're on our way to catch up with Shake Shack. And hopefully one day we're going to pass them, because we got a lot more vibe and a lot more energy in our stores than at Shake Shack. And then flavor, right? If you look at the whole burger space, everybody's just using salt and pepper. I think the world has a lot more open palate now. Everybody eats a lot of different types of cuisines, and we're tired of salt and pepper. So that's why we're notorious for flavor.
So Guggen, I love, with your tech background and mindset, right? You're very hands-on with, the automations and tools and systems that you guys use day to day. I love to, really dive deep into that. What are some of those tools that you're personally using day to day? Whether it be, reporting, data, analytics, etc. And how do you really leverage that into making further business-oriented decisions?
We all come from tech background. These guys also are fanatical about data. Yes, I'm at the center to fetch all this data, whether that's Otter, right? From orders being placed, what items are being purchased, what modifiers are being added onto those items, to understand our peak times, non-peak times. Why is that important from menu engineering standpoint? It's important, but also we can take it to where we can look at our scheduling, like for our labor, right? Our team members, we can eventually leverage that data from that. We're using for our online ordering, right? We're using Google search. There is instrumentation data. We can look at what is our customer doing while they're on our site. How do we make sure they're ordering through, not just leaving the checkout process? So we're using that data to understand the flow of things. We're using KDS. This is one of the things that we adapted when we transitioned to Otter, to really connect with our customers, right? One of the things was our customers weren't getting notified on time when their order is ready for pickup, right? Or third-party delivery. Plus, it also helps us to monitor our ticket times, right? To really understand based on the peak time, are our ticket times going up? Or certain channel is taking longer from fulfilling the order or not. We're leveraging that. Then eventually we're gonna, I mentioned AI earlier. We're using Gemini as part of our executive team here at SBK to really start, using that data and the AI engine to really start making those right decisions, right? That a human mind might take some time to make, but we can actually look at those insights right away and then put together a priority list among the executive team to really understand whether we need to execute on now or in future. Longer term, I see, this is where Otter plays a role for us, having the open API available, right? We're actually looking at inventory management solution. We're looking at franchise management solutions, right? How do we make sure that we can integrate to those where we have a centralized ecosystem, not only for just the executive team, but also for our franchisees, right? So that way they can run their operations effectively moving forward.
So guys, I'd love to learn more about, how the partnership with Otter came about, right? What were some of the things that you were considering in your decision-making process? What truly triggered that switch from your previous vendor?
It goes back to how we started, right? We all come from tech background. It's in our DNA, especially with the vision that Paul brought, right? That we need to scale up to 500 stores. Originally, I appreciate these guys to build a bootstrap ecosystem to run the operations, right? But and that worked to test the brand we were building, right? But as part of my oncoming to this team was like, hey, let's build now for scale, right? Not wait until 10 locations, 15 locations, and later on, and transitions take longer. So one of the decisions we made was that we need to look for something that is modular but scalable, but we're not planning to build something in-house, right? And this is where it led us to start looking at what partners or opportunities are available. So we looked at 3 opportunities. One was Toast, the other one was Square, and then Otter. I've heard about Toast. I heard about, Square, but one day out of the blue, Paul messages me overnight. We have our WhatsApp group and he's like, look for Otter. And that led me to reach out to Otter for a demo. And this is where Sunny, we connected, had an initial call. I gave you a little background on how we started and what our ambitions are. Again, it goes back to, having the foundation of tech is critical for us. And that helps because we come from the tech background and we've seen people in QSR who are trying to scale up, not having a tech background, and they struggle, right? Because they run into a lot of the customer support issues, not as an operator, but also a customer might run into a problem on a kiosk, but what is your backup plan? What is your redundancy plan, right? And not thinking through is what led us to have that conversation with Otter and others. But eventually we made the decision on our needs, on leveraging Otter as our go-forward partner for SBK.
So Paul, let's dive into, your previous operating system, right? What were some of the challenges that you were facing with your previous vendor, right? And ultimately, when did you realize that it was not going to be the long-term solution for you guys?
So as Guggen mentioned earlier, our first system was really bootstrap put together. And as we spent the first 9 months of the existence of this brand with them, we quickly realized that having best-in-class individual parts of the system were not probably the best solution, right? And it goes back to the core point-of-sale system. The original one we picked, it was very proprietary, run by a non-tech company. They didn't understand tech. They didn't understand that we're digital first.
Right.
If our kiosk is down, our business is down, right? Not per se, but we can, still redirect them. But it breaks our operating model. We can't deliver on our promise to our customer, right? So that took us back to the drawing board to go do a full vet of the new vendors out there, right? The other vendors that are out there that are doing it better. Really get to know them. It was a months long process to make the right decision. Multiple demos, a lot of questions. We've even set a bar in our agreement with you guys, right? We want an SLA, service level agreement. We need a certain amount of response in a certain amount of time. If we're a digital first company and we're going to partner with you and we're saying we're building 500 units, the 500 unit infrastructure for our company, we got to make sure the partner that we pick understands that and values that just as much as us. Our success is hinged on yours. Your success can also be hinged on ours, right? Yeah. So finding the right partner, and that's the most key. And somebody that's really willing to open up their API, right? We're not here with your API to try to circumvent you, but for our business and our business needs to make our dashboards for ourselves and for our customers, and really grow what we're going to do in our back end. We need to be able to have that trust with our point of sale vendor that they're going to give us that access, and you guys did. So we really appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, with Otter, everything is so much more efficient and seamless, right? Everything lives in one space. We can see all of our data coming in from all different channels, whether it's third party, direct orders, kiosks, everything lives there. But even with that, what we really love to see is the use of our KDS and really see our ticket time so we can understand how's our staff doing, what's going on, where are the bottlenecks, and how can we circumvent that by using data in the real time that we're receiving. That's been a big part of day-to-day operations and being hands-on, is looking at these data points and seeing what quick changes can we make to make everyone's experience more seamless and efficient, whether it's for the guests, whether it's for our executive team, whether it's for front of house staff or back of house staff.
So Paul, how does Otter support your vision, right, to become a scalable franchise-ready brand?
Sure. We said this again and again throughout this episode, is, we have a tech-first DNA, right? In what we do inside of our business. We saw the same thing with you guys. You guys are a tech company, and you guys have a great solution and product that you've built. But the other proof of the pudding is you guys also have cloud kitchens. So you guys share the same points we share if there's issues and problems. So you live the same day that we live every day. So that also gives us another level of confidence, is not only are you guys developing this tech, you're consuming it yourself. And I think that gives everybody a little better sense of comfort that you guys aren't just developers in a room developing. You guys actually have a whole another business model that runs on this system, where this all came from. So that was really reassuring. And once again, the open API, right? The willingness to do that. Some other vendors just point blank said, nope, we don't do that. And that just a turn off for us.
Yeah. Let's talk about what's next, right? Looking ahead the next 6 months, 12 months, right? Next couple of years. Paul, what's next for SBK?
Well, obviously, we're continuing to grow our existing footprint. We'll have hopefully 5 locations open within the next 6 to 9 months. Beyond that, the bigger thing, SBK, Secret Burger Kitchen, we're not just a local brand. We're a franchise, right? We finished our national franchise FDD launch. We are approved in majority of the states. I think 40 plus states we can start franchising in today. But once again, we're tech people. We're used to planning and building for that 100 million user mark. So what we're doing with our brand and how we're positioning it is, we are right now finishing up our 500 unit playbook to make sure all of our systems, everything in alignment. And then we will start continuing to grow this brand. We feel we need to go partner with the right A-player franchisees. We're looking for strong, sophisticated multi-unit operators to come in and be part of what we're doing with our brand. This has been really methodically put together and architected. So when we look at ourselves, we're saying Secret Burger Kitchen, we're engineering a new category, which is that culture-driven QSR category. And we're engineering how our systems and our businesses run for successful operators. So our goal is within 5 years to be 300 to 500 units. And we will probably look to own 10 to 15% of that footprint ourselves.
That's incredible. Very, very exciting, guys. Mandeep, I'd love for you to chime in and talk about the future of Secret Burger Kitchen's digital dine-in experience for your guests.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you know, we're kiosk first. So that's a really big thing. But the other big thing is what we're focusing on is a vibe that we're creating, right? For our customers dining in, we are focusing on a curated playlist, and our interior design is local to the communities that our restaurants are in, right? And really make that a destination for that community and drive that local hype and really build off what the community's presence is and invite people in, make an inviting space to really, grow within and really reach out from that perspective.
Amazing. Guggen, I'd love for you to chime in as well and talk a little bit about, where you see the QSR space really going within the next few years.
Yeah, as we have discussed, we are kiosk first model. I see a lot of brands shifting to that. I know previously some brands have tried and failed because they missed on the hospitality piece, right? Which we are prioritizing from SBK standpoint. And I'm also noticing others are trying to invest into this model, but with hospitality, because they see that, because they see that cutting cost or labor is not the right way to approach this. It's actually, how do we have the team members be more focused on being brand ambassadors, right? I see more of the brands focusing on that. I think tech as well, as you see brands who are scaling up, they're very tech focused. They're looking for integrated, APIs that can talk to inventory management so that we can schedule better from given location standpoint. From executive team standpoint, I think we can also understand if we scale up to 500 location, how is a given location performing, right? There's key metrics that we need to measure. So thinking through that is going to be very critical for us and also the other brands who are scaling up.
So guys, a lot of great talking points today. To conclude our segment for today, I'd love for each of you guys to share, one piece of advice you'd share with another operator in today's QSR space that is also looking to, adopt a similar model as Secret Burger Kitchen and also is looking to scale and grow.
Tech is complex. This is why it's very critical to do a proper vetting. Going back to how we did it, we didn't just pick one player. We assessed our requirements based on 3 different options. So it's critical to anybody looking for opportunity to do their proper vetting, understand their personas, right? One thing that to me was very critical was the customer support angle, right? Having everything under Otter helps us, we actually have a weekly call with our customer support rep, right? Who understands our pain points and able to keep us up to date on things, how we are progressing, whether it's within Otter or whether that's on SBK side, right? So this is a good bridge for us to, build on that relationship and solve some of the common problems that we run into. We do run into problems, but we appreciate the support that we get from Otter side.
That's great. Paul?
One piece of advice that I think I have for, other multi-store operators out there is that really take the time to do the demos of all the different systems. Ask questions. Don't just believe the hype and what they're telling you or the documents they're emailing you over. Go visit other locations that have those systems in there. You want to touch it. You want to feel it. You want to see what it's like. Some of these other systems only have like iPads, so an 11-inch screen. Some will have maybe a 15-inch screen, right? Like I said, Otter has a 27-inch screen. That gives a whole different experience. So look at that. Make sure that you really understand what you're getting and what you're buying, and that everything can be provided by one provider, because you don't want to be out there calling 5 different people trying to figure it out when it breaks down. You want to be able to call one provider that can help you solve that problem right away.
Mandeep?
Yeah, tying off what Paul and Guggen really went over is, while you're doing these demos, really understand what data points each POS system is providing, whether it's Otter, whether someone else, whoever you're vetting. You need to understand what data points you need to look at to be as efficient as possible when implementing a digital first model, because the whole purpose of this is to really grow fast and scale, but you need to understand each data point that you really need to target to achieve those marks that you want to set out for yourself.
Thanks again to the Secret Burger Kitchen team for joining us today on the Otter Podcast. We really enjoyed having you here. We learned a lot, and we're looking forward to the future of Secret Burger Kitchen. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sonny.